Next item on the agenda is the junior counselor program. John?
Okay. Working with Council Rock North High School and the principal, Susan McCarthy, over there, I actually received 4 applicants in the mail late last week. I know we had a brief discussion during the work session. Once I opened this, I did review, and I have a question I sent back today in email to the principal. I believe one of the 4 is probably a borough resident, which is, we were looking for a borough resident. So just for clarification, based on the address on the form, if that was the case. So we do have one that is specifically a borough resident, just by reading the address. So I wanted to maybe ask council how, at the work session I expressed, if we have several students who are interested in this, and they're different ages, different grades, maybe taking a senior or junior first, but breaking up and not doing a full year term, maybe giving a little flexibility and having 6 months for the oldest or senior person, and if there was another individual going 6 months, so that more people could rotate through and get the experience and kind of make it work towards the amount of applicants that we have, rather than just say it's just 1 year. And I spoke to Linda Costa at the Pennsylvania Borough Association, and she said that it's up to us to kind of create what we want.
Well, question number 1 is, does council wish to restrict this activity to a borough resident, or since the members of the township have a different form of government, so it would, we need to make that decision. What does the Borough Councilors Program have any requirements about the person being a resident of the borough in which they are joining the government?
I spoke to her last year on that and the flexibility. It seemed like we had a lot of flexibility, but on that specific item, I'd have to reconfirm with her that we are. I thought we were limited to a borough applicant. Yeah.
Well, it certainly makes sense.
Yeah.
Does anyone else on council have any comments to that effect? Okay, so...
but I could confirm that, because that would give us more flexibility.
Well, it would make sense. I mean, it should be open to
Yeah.
the borough. Like I said, if someone lives in the township and wants to know how their government works, they shouldn't be on borough council. They should be on the board of supervisors.
Township,
right? And so you have one borough resident. What year is that person?
A senior?
A senior, okay. So if that person were appointed, that person would have to the remainder of, until they went off to college, right? So they possibly 6 months?
If we chose to do that, or we could also work with the high school that if we did come up with another applicant, maybe after 6 months, rotating that new individual, and if they were a senior or a junior.
Yeah.
Because originally I had actually 2 seniors, 2 juniors, and a 9th grader, and I figured, well, the 9th grader, if we waited that year rotating, they would be a junior, and that would give them an opportunity if they were still interested. So again, I mean, I can propose kind of a setup, bring it back, and be pretty straightforward, and then we could put the first applicant. I guess my question is, how do we want to review that applicant? Because it's just basically the name, address, and desire.
Do you want to ask, I mean, in other words, do you want to ask them to come before council and speak about why they want it, or to have an interview, or to have them write a short essay on why they would like to be considered for this position?
I guess the way I'm looking at this is about the individual and this junior council person learning as much as they possibly can, and the willingness for them to want to do this. So I don't know if I would put them through a interview, but maybe a short paragraph or a page of why they were interested may be good, just to make sure that they're getting into what they think they're getting into. Mm-hmm. And then maybe addressing the time frame as far as whether it's a 6 month, a 1 year, based on the school year. We could work that out as well. So as long, are you okay, I guess, if we had just an application filled out, a form as to why the interest level or why they want to do it, submit it to council, and then we could just agree at the work session, or however you...
Yeah. And then if you want to start working on next year's applicant in the spring, so that you have someone ready to go.
I think that the thought from the principal was that the spring is okay. We did have some interest last spring, but it changed over the summer.
Oh,
So
okay.
she was rather kind of get it early fall and put the person maybe in place in October going forward. And then my thought was, okay, so October, November, December, they could see the transition or the things we do in January, if that's applicable, and then another person could even come in February, March, April, May, June, to kind of, if we had enough applicants, to give everyone a term before they graduated. I guess we could be flexible on that term, but...
Do you want to prepare something for council and sort of how you see the program? Like,
That would be-
what the essay question ought to be?
Sure.
What the criteria are that we might want to use to select someone, and how you propose to schedule and bring that back to council?
Yeah, I could do that.
Any other questions for John? No? Okay.